going down. Tired of myself, tired of this town.
Eminent Waste of Time, episode 67. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And for the first time ever, I actually forgot what episode we were on.
Yep.
We had to go to YouTube and look it up, what the last one was.
Well, you can't take off your shoes and socks and count anymore.
No, we're well past that.
Yeah.
Unless you're some sort of freak. Lives down by the power plant.
Maybe. You got no proof.
It's a good sign, though.
It is.
But I've always been able to remember up to now. That kind of surprised me.
Well, it's been holidays, so time
And we've
rolls.
both been sick in various capacities.
Yeah, I still kind of sound like an old worn-out biker right now, so...
Aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yes, actually. Yes, I kind of am.
No, I got some sort of stomach bug that's been going around, and you had some sort of head cold, and
Yeah.
I'm ready to actually get back to a normal schedule.
Racing? I'm ready to get back to the racing season.
Rumor has it there's one or two options this year.
Gosh, there is more than
I
one or
mean,
two.
you could probably race at least 7 or 8 times if you wanted to.
A weekend.
So if you haven't been paying attention to the local racing scene, and I know our audience is kind of spread out beyond just Indiana, but really Indiana is kind of the hotbed right now for cross-country racing.
It's the central location anyway.
There's the normal series that you've heard us talk about in the past. MWXC is going to have a 12-race schedule, and there will be 9 of them that will host UTVs.
Correct.
And IXCR is going to be about the same. I think they have 9 rounds of UTVs, if I'm remembering the schedule right.
Yeah, it sounds right. I listened to their announcement on it the other night, and now I don't remember, but...
Plus or minus.
Yeah, close enough.
They don't run every single round. They run bikes and quads, because it just...
I think they are actually running more. I'm wanting to say they were 10.
Okay.
Whatever.
But a lot of series have to cancel 1 or 2, or not cancel, but just not even schedule, because especially in the spring, the ground's really soft and muddy. And
some of the tracks may not really be, the properties may not be big enough to really house a UTV race.
Yeah.
To cut big tracks like that through. It's just how it is.
And I've never gotten confirmation, but I suspect certain property owners have probably said, you're not putting those on my property. I don't know that for sure, but it seems like there's very consistent properties that we want to be early in the year and we don't want UTVs on them. So it probably has a little to do with it too.
They are hard on ground. I'll admit it.
So you've got those 2 series. You've also got Crossroads. They're going to have a full schedule as well of UTV racing.
Yep.
And there is a new series here, a 4th series in Indiana called Extreme XC Racing. We're calling it EXCR, although I don't know officially they've adopted that as their moniker, but
I haven't seen them.
It fits with the pattern of the other ones.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just calling it Extreme.
That works too.
I mean, either way.
Extreme.
No, we're not doing that.
Can I say that every time?
Only if we can get Macho Man Randy Savage to do it. And and have the beef jerky.
Oh, dude, that'd be
Slim
awesome.
Jims.
Is he still alive? Like, he didn't have a heart attack and die, did he?
Well, I don't know. He ate a lot of beef jerky.
We need to look him up, because if we could get him to do that, that'd be gold.
Yeah.
And they are going to have, well, anyways, they, being Extreme, they're going to have a full UTV schedule as well. I think they're going to have 7 or 8 rounds.
I think there's 7.
7 rounds.
I want to say there's 7 rounds.
So you've got that. On top of that, you've also got AXCC, which is going to have 7 rounds of UTV racing.
They're kind of stepping up, trying to be the new premier side-by-side racing series. They're kind of trying to take the steps from GNCC.
And from what we've seen so far, they definitely are doing that. I like that the races are spread out. I mean, the Indiana series, obviously, you kind of draw a 2-hour circle around Indianapolis. Some are a little further, but generally they're within that 2 hours of Indy, which is dead center of the state if you've never looked at a map or had the pleasure of being in this God's paradise.
Somebody's paradise.
Somebody's paradise. But AXCC is going to be, well, they start off in Texas.
Uh-huh.
And then they've got races in Tennessee. I think there are none in Iowa. I think the only one in Iowa is going to be the Heartland Challenge.
Well, yeah, I was going to say the Heartland Challenge is part of their, I think it's part of their series, isn't it? Are they counting it as part of it?
No, I don't think so. I think that is a standalone event.
Okay.
But basically you draw a line up and down the Mississippi, kind of states either side. They're all over the place there. Yeah. None in Indiana yet, but that may be happening. There's
Maybe.
some talk of
There's talk.
There's
We'll
talk of
see.
a co-sanctioned race that'll be hosted here in Indiana with one of the regional series here in Indiana. But that hasn't been 100% confirmed yet either.
Right.
But that is another option, and that's going to be a big premier option. If that wasn't enough, you also have Chasing the Triple, which is presented by Side by Side Sports, and they've got, is it Monster Energy on board?
Monster Energy is on board, yes.
And that's the big money one. If you haven't heard about that, you can go look it up. But needless to say, that is the big money race. If you win, so Chasing the Triple, if I'll give you a brief synopsis, go look up all the details yourself. There basically are going to be 4 races hosted at 3 different venues. One of them will be a doubleheader. And you've got different elements. The first one's going to be up in Minnesota. It's an ice race. And then you've got one down in Texas that is going to be, they're calling it cross country.
They're calling it cross country, but Texas
I don't know if
cross
you've ever been
country
to Texas.
is not the same as Midwestern cross country.
So that one's going to be interesting. Different format, and you're going to have a machine set up differently for that race.
Right.
And then you're going to be back up to Chicago, and that is more of a, it's kind of a, I want to call it a cross between cross country and like stadium or short course racing, because half the track is...
It's rallycross.
Yeah.
Is really what it's like. It's like
exactly.
rallycross.
So half of it's blacktop, half of it's dirt.
Yeah.
And it's more of a stadium type of setup.
Yep.
So that if you win all of these races, they're going to call you the master of the elements?
King of the elements.
King of the elements.
Yes.
And if you add up all the purses between the 4 races you won and the bonus for winning them all, it's...
Three races. If you win 3 races plus King of the Elements, your total payout is $45,000.
And that's what I'm saying. If you win all 4, it's even more, though, because you get another first place. It pushes you up.
I think it's 10.
Yeah,
Is it 10 grand?
it pushes you up into the mid-50s.
Yeah.
I want to say it was 56,000 sticks in my head if you won clean slate,
Everything.
won all of them.
Yeah. That's going to be tough to do.
That's big money, but yeah, it's going to be very tough to do. You're going to have people backing you. I don't think the average Joe, self-funded race team is going to be able to reconfigure machines. And I mean, you really have to have different machines for different disciplines for this.
Yeah. Or at least like complete suspension changes and...
It'd be hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to write it off, but when you're competing against big names
who have the money,
if you haven't heard, basically the operating people behind this whole push are the Greaves, CJ and Johnny Greaves.
Yeah.
Who they know a thing or two about off-road racing.
Yeah. If you haven't heard of them, just type the name in and get back to us in a couple hours when you finish reading about all their wins and accomplishments and races they've done and everything else.
Yeah, the Greaves are off-road racing royalty, basically.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting series. That probably isn't going to appeal to most people out there. I mean, a lot of people are going to follow it and watch it, but...
It'll be super interesting to watch, but I don't think it's one that you're like, yeah, there's got no other scheduled races in my normal series. I'll go out and run that one.
Yeah, exactly.
The entry fee is steep too.
Yeah, you're not getting in for $80.
Was it $1,000 or $1,200 or something like that?
Yeah,
it was steep.
It was a 4-figure entry fee.
Yeah. Now you're winning big if you win.
You better win.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're a factory-backed racer, and I don't mean they gave you a 10% discount on your buggy. I mean, they're paying you to be their racer. They're covering your race fees. You've got a race allowance and all that, and you should be finishing up. I mean, if you finish in the top 5, you're at least getting your money back.
Yeah. Or you're getting the factory's money.
Either way.
Whatever.
However you want to look at that. So that's going to be an interesting, more elite type of option. The other thing that makes that one a little more inaccessible is the rules you have to follow. It's basically the same as the Lucas Oil rules in terms of how your buggy has to be set up for safety.
Yeah,
and
Cage is very stringent on what you can and what you can't have. The mesh size, even in the window openings, is stringent. What you can and what you can't have. There are a lot of rules. I think they even carried the spotter. Did they carry the spotter rules over?
I believe they did, yeah.
So you have to have, if you're a rookie driver, you have to have 2 spotters. If you're a vet, which there's no vets for this, so I don't know if everyone has to have 2 or how they're doing that, then you can get by with a single spotter. But
I'm kind of curious how the dual spotters works. I've never seen it in action.
2 points on the track.
Yeah, but I know. But if you've got, I'm just picturing this poor, inexperienced driver like having a mental breakdown as two people are yelling at him.
No.
I know that's not the way it is, but it's just
No.
a funny mental picture.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. But no, I mean, probably you have one spotter who's pretty quiet and only saying things when their driver is in that portion of the track that he can see really well. The driver, even the quote-unquote inexperienced driver who needs the two spotters, or who is forced to, I'm not going to say needs, even they're not inexperienced drivers.
Oh, no. Yeah, this isn't somebody who just bought the UTV yesterday.
No, you don't get to this level, or even, well, I guess you could. I mean, if you have enough money, you just start chucking money in. But
does that make a difference?
Not in your driving skill, but it'll get you into places. You could be inexperienced, but most of these guys have run the local series, just basically mop the floor with everybody in the local series, and they're moving on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it is. We'll see. I'm excited to see it. They're going to have good media coverage of it. They're talking about live streaming the races,
which is going to be really neat if they actually do that.
Yeah. Small announcement that we were happy about. They used some of our pictures on their website.
Yes, they did.
So that's
yours specifically.
Well, they're ours. They're not mine. They're ours.
They're Chad's.
I took them, but it was with Doug's camera, I guess, or whatever.
There we go.
So they used some Eminent Performance pictures, and so we applied for media passes, and I'm sure we'll get in. It won't be a big deal. I will not be able to make the first Chasing the Triple race because that one falls on the same weekend that AXCC down in Texas. And in case you guys aren't good at geography, Texas is not close to Minnesota. Or is it Wisconsin? They're in Wisconsin. Is it right? Yeah, Wisconsin. I think
no, it's Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I think the Iceman is in Wisconsin.
Then that's coming up here in a week or so.
That's coming up pretty quick too.
We're not going to that. I just can't make it.
There's no way.
I just got a million things.
I am looking into the feasibility of actually chasing the triple with them and then getting down to Texas. So if this all works out, it would require me flying from Indianapolis to Minnesota to cover that event, catching a plane that evening if I can get one that lines up to Texas for side-by-side racing the next day.
You and Kyle Cheney just charter a plane on down. It's fine.
Kyle Cheney, if you're listening, I'll fly in the overhead bin. I'm okay with that. And then I would ride back. We know about 15 people who are going.
Yeah,
so
there's going to be about a dozen of us probably that are going. So.
Hopefully somebody will be kind enough to give me a ride back.
You can ride in the camper. We saw how that couldn't possibly go bad last night, right?
We came back from Illinois yesterday. We headed over to Spanx Fab and to CW Motorsports, and we saw what was left of a camper. The frame was the right side up on the ground. The top of it was completely torn off and laying upside down next to it.
That's fine. You can just glue it back on.
This is why I told my kids when they wanted to ride in the camper on a road trip, it's like, absolutely not. They don't bring a wrecker when you wreck in a camper. They bring a dumpster.
Yeah.
There's no way. If they had a pet inside there, that pet is dead.
Fluffy is now flying.
So we'll see if it all works out. The only feasible way is if I can use airline miles from my work travel. If I have enough to get either super cheap tickets or free tickets to and from, that I'll do it. But I'm not going to.
Yeah.
We're not just going to foot the bill to fly just to fly.
A few thousand miles just to get media coverage of Chasing the Triple. But although it'd be neat.
If I can do it, I am actively looking into it right now. And if everything lines up, then that's going to be a busy weekend.
And you talk about sending your body into like some sort of shock. You're going from north where it's probably going to be teens at best, maybe 0, down to Texas where it's probably going to be 60 something, 70 maybe.
Having just gotten back from Africa a week and a half prior.
Yeah. Doug's body's just like going to shut down and say, I give up. I don't know what to do.
All this is for all of you.
Yeah. So that there. We say all of that to say there are lots of racing options out there this year.
If you can't find a place to race your UTV, you legitimately are not looking. Or potentially maybe you live so far away that none of this sounds appealing. But, I mean, even for us, the Texas trip for us is 12 hours.
Yeah, we're making that trip. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too.
I am excited.
My head is spinning how fast it's coming up, though.
Oh, I thought about it the other day. It's like I have to get some stuff ready still, because their rules are. I'll put it this way: I have equipment that would get me through tech, as far as for me, and the buggy is ready, but it's not ideal equipment. I can go with it if I need to. I'll be all right, but it's not exactly what I want. So we'll see.
Nothing's ever what you want. Even when you're done, it's up, on to the next thing.
It is, I know, but well, I mean, okay, it's like a helmet. Do I have a helmet that meets criteria? Yes. My goggles, I have the wider roll-off. They would work. They would be just fine. I really want some sort of full face with roll-offs.
Oh, I completely agree.
That's what I want.
How about this? We get you a little motor and a windshield wiper.
A little like T-bucket windshield wiper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll give you a manual crank backup. So
nice.
if the motor fails, we can watch you driving doing this.
I'm not driving for these. Steve is. Steve Mueller.
Sure.
So, yeah.
It's just like the episodes of Top Gear where it's, supposedly James May, but it's actually the Stig.
Yeah. My fire suit is one of the other things. I'm 99% sure AXCC requires the 2-layer or 2 single layers for a fire suit. I have 2 single layers. I don't really want to do that. I think it would be okay for Texas.
Since it's going to be March, you'll be fine, but
you get into like August, even in Tennessee.
That's going to be fun, especially in the humidity. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm going to for sure want, the 2-layer, like single fire suit instead of my I don't want to burn underwear.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah, well, it's.
I would prefer you didn't burn either, because then I'd have to do all this myself.
Yeah, it's rough. Suck it up.
I could replace you in a second.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's all that I really need that I'm lacking. So, I mean, there's money there.
It's just amazing, though, when you look at all the prep work, and you're talking about just the one series. I mean, if you were trying to run 2 concurrent series this year, or just pick and choose, I mean, you literally could race every single weekend. We looked at the calendar.
Oh, yeah.
We've overlaid it all, and there are 1 or 2 weekends basically between March and November where you'd have a break.
Yeah.
But
if you were
wanted
running,
to,
you could run every weekend.
Which sounds both incredible and horrible all at the same time.
Yeah, if you guys have never run a full series of, like, you get to the end, you get down in there to September and October, you're kind of ready for it to be over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody is.
You're just tired of working on it, tired of spending the money, tired of the travel. I mean, it's fun. You still enjoy going and doing it. It's just, you're just wore out. You're ready for a break.
For sure.
And guys like Steve and Devin, who last year ran a couple full series where they're running, I think Steve ran 18 or 19, and Devin ran 20 or 22.
I want to say he ran 22 races.
Yeah, something like that. That's a lot of racing. I mean,
that's a ton of racing. That's insane.
And it's not, if you look at the time spent in the UTV, yeah, that's not that much. It's going to be, for Devin running 22 races, he probably ran a total of, 30 hours, roughly. 30 hours isn't that much when you think about it, but the travel to and from, the prep before, the cleanup after, the sitting there all weekend basically waiting on the race.
It's all that stuff around it that really makes a race season long.
You'll spend half a day walking the track just to memorize it, because it takes time. I mean, you're walking 5 miles or whatever to memorize it up and down hills. We're not walking 5 miles on your local park track that's paved. This is up and down hills that these things are launching up, and you're just trying to scramble up these, and it takes a few hours to walk them, and you're trying to do all this to memorize the track. It's a time commitment. It's a real big time commitment.
So if you've thought about getting into side-by-side racing, you still got some time. There's a fair amount you'll have to do to prep a buggy, but there's no shortage of opportunities. And honestly, this would be as good a year to get into it as any, because if you don't like the way one series is run, you can go into it with the mentality of, I'm not going to just pick a series and run it.
Right.
I can run one at IXCR and MWXC, and then go do a Crossroads run, and then go do an Extreme XC one, and then go do an AXCC, and see which one you like. And it kind of gives you have enough time probably in the season to run 2 of each. Then next year you kind of have a better idea of which one you really want to do.
I'm going to say, if you're a new racer and you're wanting to get out, go ahead and do it. Like Doug said, don't commit to, I'm going to run this whole series every race. Just don't. Make it easier on yourself. Kind of look at your schedule and, okay, I'll take one from here and one from this other series and one from this other series, and pick a local one to you so that your travel time isn't, completely wasted. But go there early, meet some of the guys that you're going to run with, especially local series. I'm sure AXCC will be the same, but, we're talking MWXC, IXCR, Crossroads, and Extreme for us Indiana guys. Go race those and show up early, talk to some of the guys. Most of them are going to be the same guys who run all those series together anyway. Super nice bunch of guys. Ask questions. They'll hang out with you. If they have a spare part that you need, they'll give it to you, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
All these are great guys. So it's not this super competitive thing where everybody hates each other. Like we've talked about it before, but people have this in their head, I think, that that's what it is. It's not.
Nope. It's just a great community and a great way to spend a ton of money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got to hang out with Spangler yesterday, and Mike Plank and Steve Mueller, and then Cody from CW is separate, but
Cody and his wife Peyton, I got to hang out with them for a while, and I mean, that was just one kind of trip.
Yeah, we just went over. We had to pick up a couple things, which keep your eye out for some videos coming out here in the near future to see what we picked up.
The EP buggy has some new partses,
new bits.
So
yeah, but no, it's good just to get to see those guys because we chat and stuff on Facebook group messages and stuff like that, but to actually get to hang out and talk to them, it's like going to the race.
Exactly. Well, one other thing that a lot of people have been talking about is payouts are going way up this year.
They're going up across the board. Some of them are going way up. Some are going just up a little bit.
Now, entry fees are going up with that, but not proportionally to what you win. We've seen entry fees, and in some cases, double or more for only an additional, say, $10 to race.
Right.
So I'm going to say the average local entry fee now is $80 for the pro row.
Yeah, 80 to 100, I think, is kind of...
It depends on the series you run, but you're going to be in that 80 to 90 range depending on where you run. One of them is a little more expensive than the others.
And that's the pro row. You don't have to run the pro row if you're new. Sign up for like the heavy row or something like that. What are they? 65 or 70 or whatever they are.
Yeah. And most of the heavy...
Save a few dollars.
And most of the heavy rows pay out now as well.
Yep.
You still kind of get back to where the light rows don't pay out, but then the light entry fee is usually $40 or $50.
Yeah, $50, I think.
So, but payouts now are ranging from one series is going to be $400 to win pro. Another series is going to be up in the $700 range.
About
and
$700.
Then we just had one of the series drop the bomb. They're going to pay out $1,000.
They are one series, and we'll leave all names out of it, because if you guys want to find this information, message us, or you can look it up if you're local to Indiana. You'll find it easy enough, or you probably have already heard if you're interested in any kind of racing. But one series came out and guaranteed, that means no matter how many side-by-sides show up, $1,000 payout for the pro row if you finish first.
I think all the pros should just pick a race and show up for it. Now it's kind of hard to win a series that way, but guaranteed $1,000. We're basically leaving names out. Like I said, you can look this up. This information's readily available, but we're trying to be Switzerland in this whole thing.
Yeah, we're neutral. We're indifferent. So,
and all the series have different perks above and beyond money and other stuff like that. Are we advertising for them?
I'd noticed you just like did this nice product placement spin of the Rural King water. I ripped my label off.
You labeled it.
They're not paying me.
It's the best store ever.
It is the best store ever. I love that
Sometimes
place.
I go there for dinner. Coffee and popcorn.
Yep. And they got beef jerky.
Ooh, yes they do.
Have you ever seen...
And free dog treats.
Yeah. Have you... This is completely off topic. Have you ever seen, like, when they have their Rural King brand beef jerky on sale? It's a giant skid of beef jerky.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and they just roll it up there on the skid. And it's like this stack high of not meat.
It's salted and it's dried.
Yeah.
And it's relatively tasty. And as long as you don't have real high standards for what that might actually be.
Maybe rat.
It says beef jerky, but I think it only has to be like a certain percentage of beef to technically be correct.
10%. The rest can be rat. We're off topic.
Anyways, back to racing. So those are the local series, and then AXCC, the national series, is paying $1,500 to win.
Yep.
And then percentages on, they're paying down to 9th.
I think so. Yes, I believe that's what it is.
So that is way up across the board from what you could win just in 2018.
And then chasing the triple is ridiculous money.
Insane money.
Like $5,000 to $10,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
big time money. So just from 2018, that is a huge jump. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, is it that the race series are finally starting to see that side-by-sides aren't going away? They're not a fad that people are going to be around, and they're actually competing for that. Maybe they kind of see the writing on the wall. Is it kind of that opportunity to try and gobble up racers because GNCC is not going to be there anymore? I don't know what the motivation is behind it, but I've talked to several series owners, and it's not cutthroat, but there's definitely an urgency to get racers to their series.
I agree.
Which is not a bad thing.
I think it's a little bit of all of what you stated. I think they're trying to get there are some series that are trying to take up the GNCC racers. Some were not prepared. Some of the smaller series. They were not prepared. They're trying to. I don't think they're really going to grab that many of them.
Probably not.
I really think AXCC is going to get the lion's share of the GNCC racers. We'll see how that goes. And I also think that the race series owners are now finally seeing some value in these guys that we've talked about before. These guys are driving, $60,000 trucks with $60,000 toy haulers and $50,000 to $60,000 in a race rig, and they're rolling in there.
That's a lot of 60Ks.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I get that there are more bikes, but these guys that are throwing down this kind of money, they don't mind spending more on entry fees as long as there's a chance to get the payout. They don't mind going in and buying merchandise, shirts, and stuff like that for the series if the series is treating them well. These guys are guys that are throwing around money. Nothing against the dirt bikes and all that. But I can get into dirt bike racing for like
go shake the couch.
Yeah, $4,000. You can have a decent bike and a little crappy truck to haul it in.
You could have your 94 F-150 with lace fenders and throw the bike in the back and get to the race.
Right, and there are lots of guys that do that. And I'm not saying they're bad racers.
No.
Some of those guys are the fastest guys on the track. But
you don't have to have the kind of money to get into dirt bike racing or even quad racing. Same thing. You can get an old 400EX and get it semi-prepped and throw it in the back of your truck.
Right.
Side-by-side racers are a different breed in terms of the money invested.
Yeah.
So you're not going to... I talked to actually 2 race owners, and both of them were kind of hemming and hawing about, if we charge 10 more, then we can offer a much bigger purse. I'm like, $10 doesn't matter to these guys if you tell them they have the chance now to win actual appreciable money.
Right. $10 is nothing in comparison.
1 gallon of race fuel.
Yeah. Well, that's if you get it at the pump, basically. If you buy it by the 5-gallon can, it's not even a gallon.
Yeah, no, if you buy it at the race, forget it.
Yeah, that gets pricey.
So it's exciting, though, because I think there's going to be some real emphasis on the UTV market this year.
Cody Willenborg, he was chatting with a group of us, and he said he was watching Supercross last night, and he said he's sitting there watching this big stadium event, and he's look at all the money that manufacturers dump in behind bikes. He says he's really wanting to see when, if, or whatever that starts happening for the UTV racing world. But UTV racing is in its infancy compared to dirt bike racing.
Oh, dirt bikes have been around forever now.
And they've been racing them since the 50s, 60s, basically. Off-road anyway. And UTV racing has really only come around in the last 10 years. I mean...
At most, yeah.
So
it was about a decade ago that the first Razor came out.
Yeah.
You know, and you had you had a few people doing hair scramble type of races and that kind of stuff, but actual racing as we know it today in the side-by-side sports, probably closer to only 5 or 6 years old.
Well, I don't even know if 5 or 6 years ago you weren't even running turbos.
No, oh no, definitely not.
So,
the fastest buggy out there was probably the Maverick at the time.
Probably, yeah. And so you just look at how fast it's progressed to where, okay, think back 10 years ago. What was probably most people were running the Razor 800 or the Rhino.
Rhinos.
That's what they were doing. Topped out, if I had a built one and the best I could do was like 55. And I remember that's on pavement.
I remember how excited you were when you cracked 50.
Oh, yeah.
Like
and then I kept going.
You were pumped.
Yeah, it's like, I got past 50. I can spin the tires in mine up until 60. I don't know, 50 or 60 anyway. I can smoke the tires that far. There's no comparison. Just technology has just slammed everything forward.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So I don't think we can even say, maybe in the last 2 years, you can say it's the same kind of racing. 2 to 3.
Oh, yeah.
Like the X3s started coming out and the Razor turbos were a thing. So like 16, 17, and 18, those racing years, those are about the same.
But that's nothing
competitive of racing.
I mean, in the industry of big money, that is a blink of an eye because they're all going to wait around for a couple of years to see, do I really want to dump money into this? And now they're starting to get some inklings of that.
I don't think it's going away because you look out at like Best in the Desert and the Baja and all that. Those classes are just growing for the Razors and the X3s, the UTV classes. They're just growing. The quad classes are shrinking. Are the UTVs going to take over the ATV classes completely? I don't know.
It's going to be an interesting next few years.
Yeah.
I mean, the price differential we just talked about is probably going to put some cap on that, but I think you are going to see that it's going to happen more and more. You're going to see more and more side-by-sides, fewer quads, and it'll be an interesting few years. I think we've said that, multiple times, but 2019 feels like kind of a watershed moment. You look at the amount of racing available out there, the fact that payouts are growing, and honestly, talking to, again, some of the series owners, specifically Andy Kiner from AXCC, I like his attitude about it. We had a phone conversation over Christmas with him.
Yeah.
And he basically said, I was trying to work this series around the local series because he said, I don't want to be the national series just to say, look, we're the new, big dog on the block. Yeah. We just want to give racers a chance to have a spotlight put on them. This is about the racers and about, showing them off. And, he told us point blank, he said, I could care less if you ever saw AXCC, posted anywhere in a blog or, a video or anything. He goes, I just want to run a clean race series and I want to give these guys a chance to run because point blank, he loves racing. Yeah. And I'm seeing that kind of attitude, and I think that's part of why it's growing, is you've got people that are willing just to jump out there, not caring about the money necessarily. I mean, you have to have money to keep things going, right? But that isn't the motivator.
Right. And that's kind of what Doug and I were talking about last night. We're kind of in the same boat. We really want to push the racers
We
forward.
Don't have any money?
No, we don't. But the crazy thing is, for us to be able to bring racers to you guys and promote them, you have to, I'm not saying subscribe as in YouTube subscribe, but you have to follow what we're doing so we can show them to you. Racers aren't typically good at media stuff.
No, it's true. But that's always been our goal, is to promote racers, is to, put a spotlight on them, show people what's going on, show the world, the larger world out there about the UTV, racing, the sport we love. I mean, and not just racing, whether it's trail riding or, we've done some mud riding stuff. Whatever it is, we're interested. We want to go take a look at it. And as this grows, we actually this year, 2019, we're going to be net positive for at least a few months until we spend some of them. But
it'll happen. Whatever.
We've started to actually have a little bit of income, which is nice because that just increases the amount of
things we can go do.
Things we can do and bring back to you. And hopefully that keeps snowballing as UTVs are growing. Hopefully we just ride that wave forward as well.
Yep.
But it is. I mean, it's the rising tide that raises all ships.
It is.
If we all get in this together and we all just have the mentality of we're going to do this because we enjoy it and we're going to build the sport, I think we'll be in pretty good shape in a few years.
Yep.
So everybody's been curious about the Honda Talon.
Yep. It's real.
And
We've
the
confirmed
price
that.
point is basically nuts on where we pegged it.
Yeah, it's kind of what I said. I think so. This is not official from Honda to the general public yet. Everyone's seen it on Facebook. You know, basically what Honda did was, according to what I've been told, they released pricing to their quote-unquote premium dealerships, the guys that sell the most Hondas, I'm sure, and they released the price for the Honda Talon X at $20,000. It was $19,900 whatever.
$19,999.
Yeah,
$99.
basically. And the R, which is the wider one, is $21,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is $1,000 wider.
It's $1,000 wider. And that's basically, I think, what we guessed. I guessed about, I might have said 22. If you guys really care to go back and find where I said that, that's fine. I'll admit I might have said 22. But I think I said 2022, something like that.
Yeah, we were all over that price range, and that's right where it seemed to come in. And
I think it's too high.
I think that's aggressive for a new launch.
I think it's aggressive.
You can't, I mean, I understand that you can't go up in price. You can't launch it at 17 and go, look, people like it, and then raise the price. I mean, you can, but then people are just going to buy other stuff.
Right.
So I just feel like overall, given what's in the machine, they could have come in at a more aggressive price point, still made money, and broken into the sport.
My biggest thing with it is the transmission. Not that I have anything against the transmission, but the transmission in the sport market is unproven. It's the transmission that's basically out of the Pioneer that they changed some shift characteristics to try and make it better because a lot of people had complaints about the Pioneer's transmission.
The main complaint being that it was sluggish.
Yeah.
Which is not what you want in a sport machine.
So in the sport world, that transmission is unproven. Honda's tested it. People like me haven't tested it.
Right. We find new and inventive ways to break stuff. And
Yeah.
by we, I mean the royal we, everybody who's actually out there beating these things.
So this transmission is unproven, so you're going to charge a premium amount, because it's a Honda, I know, for a transmission that has previously not been received well, even by Honda people.
And the motor is very basic in design. They basically have borrowed technology from other motors
Of their own.
Yep. And it's proven designs, but it's a fairly mild single overhead cam design. I mean, there's nothing there that screams
104 horse is all, and everyone's like, well, we'll see what the horsepower says when it comes out. From the Honda rep's mouth, 104 horse at the crank. It's not going to be fast. I'm telling you now.
it'll be fast by Rhino standards.
It will be. But even like you have the naturally aspirated double X, it's 130 at the crank.
Yeah. So just given all that, it feels like a pretty tall price point.
So the double X, in comparison, it's, in my opinion, a close comparison to the Talon. Naturally aspirated, 1,000. The double X comes in at pretty much the exact same price point.
Yes.
And in my opinion, it is also overpriced. I said that when it came out.
Yes.
And their sales have suffered, I believe, because of that.
Oh, yes.
Because you're getting, now it's a 130 horsepower machine, and it still suffers. You drop another 25 horsepower off of that, and you see how well it's going to sell.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting row to hoe, I guess, the best way to put it.
And then the four-wheel drive on the Honda is just questionable how that's all going to do. I mean, I think it'll work fine.
Yeah, there's just a lot of question marks. And again, we keep coming at this from a racing perspective, and Honda's releasing this from a sport perspective. And they are different disciplines. Sport meaning
I'm thinking of their commercial when you
go
say
out
that.
to the off-road park and pick up some, photo blogger and take him on a ride because he thinks your machine is sweet.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the Honda commercial, for the accessories specifically. That's the one you need to look
Go
at.
to YouTube, type in Honda Talon accessories, and it'll be one of the top ones.
Yeah, look for the official Honda commercial, and you're going to start watching it and thinking, this can't be the official Honda commercial. This has to be a spoof.
It is.
It is. It's an interesting marketing choice. So,
not one I would take, but
like you said, it's tough to talk somebody into a machine that's 20,000 or 21 depending.
Right.
And now, oh, you want a windshield and a roof and doors and. This is no different than anybody else. I mean, you go buy a brand new turbo, XP turbo like yours, no roof. You got the little penguin flipper doors that have a big hole right here. I mean, that's no different.
But it's a turbo.
But you got 168 horse for 17 grand. I mean, it's hard to argue with.
It's hard to beat that. And
you can, we've talked about right now the X3 seems unbeatable in the racing world, but if we're talking sport because we don't really know what the Talon's going to be like in the racing world. We've got some doubts, and those will be proven out one way or the other. But if you're
104 horsepower,
can you stress that some more? But you see what I'm saying? In the sport world, we're going to take racing off the table. We're just talking sport riding. What's the argument for buying a Talon over an XP Turbo? I can't think of it right now.
The only thing it is, and it's intangible, and it's only because someone has it in their mind that it's better. Well, it's a Honda.
It's red. It's Honda red, which means it'll last forever. And you know what? It probably will.
I'm not saying it won't, but
it's not like Polaris has some horrible track record and somebody's watching right now or listening and they're saying, oh yeah, well I bought a brand new one and it blew up in 2 miles. You know what? There's going to be a Honda that'll do that too.
You just won't hear about it because I'm not kidding. These numbers aren't official by any stretch, but this is probably a realistic representation. Polaris will outsell them 100-1.
Oh yeah, that's
no joke, because Polaris owns the market right now. Polaris, if you guys go look at the sales numbers, Polaris beats Can-Am on sales numbers. I think Can-Am's faster on the track right now, as far as XC racing anyway.
Hard to argue.
But sales, as far as overall sales of sport machines, Polaris outsells them.
Yeah. People aren't racing, they're sport riding. And the X3 is an awesome machine. The YXZ is an awesome machine. But they're kind of at the extreme edge of absolute peak performance. And honestly, most people just want to get in, throw a cooler in the back, go trail riding, or they want to go to the dunes. And you're talking the same horsepower numbers within, a couple horsepower of each other on a lot of these high-end machines. On a limited budget, $3,000, $4,000 or more, that's a big difference for a lot of people. It just is. So I don't know that a lot of people out there right now are thinking of the Talon as a race machine. So if you're in the sport market, that's tough to swallow. I think the Double X, the Wildcat, especially with the whole Robbie Gordon tie-in, they were trying to position it more like the X3 as an extreme race machine. NA instead of turbo, but still. And let's be honest. I think if you take a Double X and put it on a track versus a X3 900 HO, the naturally aspirated version, the Double X is a faster machine. I think it wins.
I think it probably does too.
So, and at some point, if Textron, if you're listening, we would like to see a factory turbo.
Please.
I think a turbocharged Double X from the factory gives a lot of X3 owners some fits.
I think it does too. And I think price point, so if you look at what it would cost them to do it and typically what the price offset is between a naturally aspirated machine and a turbo machine, it would put the Double X. Is it a premium price machine? Yes, but it would put it right there with the X3.
Exactly. They'd be neck and neck in terms of horsepower, performance, expectations for them, everything.
Right.
But the Honda isn't really in that sphere. Even if you put a turbo on this buggy, I don't think anybody's thinking of it like an X3.
No. Well, you think about, okay, you're starting with 104 horsepower. You put a turbo on it. Honda's going to still not push the very limits of that motor.
No.
What, are they going to get 130, 140 horse?
I bet you they peg it somewhere between 140 and 150. They're going to want to be at least like, this is worthwhile. but it's not going to be 170, 180.
No.
There's no way.
No.
So
Honda's not in it to race. They're not in it to be the fastest.
No, the guy who's got Honda machines right now that likes them is going to buy this machine. He's going to go to the dealer and he's going to pony up.
The guy who owns the Hondas.
I just am really curious to see what their sales numbers are going to be and whether their investment was worth it.
I don't think they care. I really don't. I think they're doing it to satisfy their following.
If you've bought one and want to contact us, we are very curious.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
So,
we're not in good enough with any Honda dealerships, obviously, to have them like give us one and let us joyride it.
No.
But if you are listening and are interested, we'll take that offer too.
Yeah.
What else you want to talk about here?
I don't know. I got all kinds of stuff on there.
Well, let's see. What time is it? We've got, you know what? Are we
at the time?
We're at the time. Otherwise, we're going to be an hour and 15, and nobody needs that.
I've had text messages.
One other thing, while you're looking through your text messages and trying to find my trivia and all the other things.
Oh, I have it. It's just hidden.
So part of the reason Chad has to be at AXCC for the first race is not just because you're co-driving,
yes,
but because Eminent Performance is the title sponsor for...
the official sponsor. I guess we are the title sponsor.
We're the main sponsor for Steve Mueller and his racing effort this year, which...
For Mueller Racing.
Hey, look, there's
there's a Razor flag.
There's some stuff.
There's parts hanging on the wall back there. Broken parts.
What do all those parts have in common, Chad?
I was there. No, wait, the belt wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Remember me waving?
No, our belts went completely away.
Well, that's not it. I think the belt is like a
representation.
There wasn't enough left to put it on the shelf.
A little pile of belt.
I didn't want to smell that in here every time we came in the studio.
Nice.
But we're wishing Steve well, and some things happened, and Polaris has basically backed out of backing racers on our side of the Mississippi for the time being. So
for the foreseeable future.
So here we are. But honestly, we're happy to be on board, and we're excited for your 2019 campaign, and it's going to be a fun year.
Yep, it'll be fun. I get to ride along with him for the AXCC races. That'll be a good time, and travel around, go racing.
Boom.
So, all right.
I forgot to mention CW Motorsports at the beginning, too.
Do it now.
Eminent Waste of Time, episode 67, presented by CW Motorsports.
Crap, we're bad at this. Sorry, Cody.
We're not used to having real sponsors.
I've been sick. That's what I'm using as my excuse.
I've been sick, too.
Yeah. It's an excuse. Cough
for almost 39 years now.
I do have to cough. Hold on. I'm sorry.
That is good stuff. I should have reached over and muted. We need mute buttons like they have in the studio.
I can't. Yeah, I don't have the mute button. I'm sorry.
I'll dive for the board next time.
Okay. Are you ready for your trivia?
Probably not.
Okay. Good enough. We're going anyway. Question number 1. The real-life mushrooms from Super Mario Brothers are called what? So you know the little red and white mushrooms that Mario runs and grabs and eats? What are those called? So there's a real life counterpart to them. They modeled it off after these, basically.
I've seen them. I don't know.
Got a guess?
I know it's not, but I'm going to say shiitake.
No. It is called fly. I'm probably going to butcher this, but agaric. It's Agaric.
Okay. Are they poisonous?
Kind of. Let me explain to you what happens when you eat these. So, if you eat these, you will experience a condition where objects appear smaller to you, making you feel bigger.
Oh, that's genius.
You remember what these mushrooms do in Super Mario? They make him bigger.
That's awesome. Because usually red in nature is
like poison.
It's not look at me, it's don't touch me.
Yeah. So, they actually modeled even their characteristics of what they do in the game after the real thing.
So, in episode 68, can we get some of these? And
No. I'm gigantic.
So much for this being a family-friendly show. Kids don't do what we do.
Next episode, we eat shrooms.
Maybe you should too. Make the show better.
Yeah. All right, question number 2. During the Great Depression, a businessman in Quincy, Florida, convinced people to buy shares of what?
That is a very vague question.
It is.
That is really not something most people would know.
It's obscure trivia. What can I tell you?
Chad Shoemaker in his Trivia Obscura. During the Great Depression, he was in Florida.
Quincy, Florida.
I don't know. This feels like the whole I've got some swampland in Florida I want to sell you type of thing. Shares for, I don't know, some sort of Florida Public Works or something.
Nope. Coca-Cola. He sold them shares of Coca-Cola.
That probably was a good idea.
And it made many, many millionaires that came out of that town.
Isn't Coca-Cola based in the Carolinas, like North or South Carolina?
Yeah,
wherever they're based in, the town they're based in, they gave everybody in town a share, and that town has the most millionaires per capita today of any place in the world, I think.
It's kind of like this. The guy way back then convinced a bunch of people.
Why couldn't I have been born in the Great Depression?
Yeah. Okay, question number 3. What was the original name for the movie The Lion King?
This is like the internal working title from Disney.
Well, I mean, it was before it was released, yeah. But they were going to call it this, and they thought this was a good name. It's not like a secret code name. This was like going to be the release name.
Man, I can't even hazard a guess.
No guess at all?
No, nothing. I got nothing.
So they were going to call it King of the Jungle. That doesn't sound all that bad. Until Disney people realized lions don't live in the jungle. And there's not even a jungle in the movie.
I was going to say, don't they live on the plains?
Yes, they do. Way to go, Disney. At least they caught it before they released it.
Well, the other thing it made me think of was a little close to Jungle Book.
Yeah.
And so kind of a mess of,
Not doing that, though. So, all right, question number 4. The restaurant at the top of the Seattle Space Needle, you know that one up there, uses what size motor to turn it? Like what horsepower rated motor?
It's probably not big. I'm going to go like 25 horse.
1.5 horse.
Well, it doesn't turn fast. I mean, if you do the gear reduction,
it is nearly perfectly balanced. How much do you think it weighs?
The motor or the Space Needle?
The restaurant on top of the Space Needle. Not the whole building, just the restaurant part.
Well, we've proven I'm terrible at guessing weights from last time. I don't know. The New Year's ball was 25,000 tons or whatever. The restaurant, I don't know. 250,000 pounds.
125 tons. Oh. You weren't insanely far off on that. Were you? Would you say 250? Yeah, you were way
250,000 pounds. So there you go.
Yeah. But it only uses a 1.5 horsepower motor.
Well, like I said, once you do all the gear reduction, you don't need much.
Right.
Like if you remember the old barbecue rotisseries?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't grab one and stop it. And the motor inside is like half of a watt or something like that. I mean, it's nothing.
All right. Question number 5.
Bring it.
What is banned in the following? It's banned in all of these following states that I'm going to name. In Alaska, Hawaii, Maine.
I was just checking my math.
You were there.
I was perfect. I was going to say, wait, isn't 125 times 2,000 is 250,000? I'm like, I was doing it in my head, and then the sick head thing happened, and I'm going to double check.
Okay.
Nailed it.
You got the bonus question. Good job.
Okay, but I missed the horsepower.
Yeah.
Crap.
Okay, what is banned in these following states? In Alaska, Hawaii, Maine, and Vermont. It's banned in all of these.
Okay, Alaska, Hawaii, Maine, and Vermont.
Yes. People
from Michigan.
No, that might be a good... Never mind, we're not going there.
People from Canada. Is it people?
No, it's not a people thing.
Singing Christmas carols outside of the month of December.
No, billboard advertising. None of them allow
time to freaking move. Actually, it doesn't bother me that much because we don't have a ton here in Indiana.
No, it's not too bad.
It's freeways and stuff, but it's not like every 10 feet.
Some of them are humorous even.
Some of them are.
So, yep. Question number 6. Who was the first known person to put wheels on an office chair? Now, I say first known because other people have made claim, but there's no proof. So the first known person that they have proof that they put wheels on an office chair. And I don't have the year. I think now I should have gotten it, but I'm not. I don't have it.
Do you have any idea? Like, give me an era at least. Was this in
1900s?
Okay. I don't know. I'll go Thomas Edison. He liked it.
Charles Darwin.
Ironically, he died in a office chair wheel accident.
Did he?
No.
I was like, I don't think he did.
That would have been awesome.
It would have been funny.
Well, you notice that old office chairs have 4 legs?
Yeah.
And new ones have 5?
Yeah.
There were a lot of accidents with the old 4-legged one because you could like try and wheel back, and if it was formed in a V like this, you would just
I saw a
go
picture
flying.
of his chair because it's the only one that they have. It's like a regular chair with the 4 legs going down with just like wheels screwed to the sides of the legs.
That's hard. Well, I mean, everything's an invention that gets made better at some point, but I could see, and it's probably those little hard wheels, like made out of steel. Can you imagine finding a crack in the floor, like pushing backwards, and then you go flying when it catches that crack?
Yep, that'd be that.
That's what I'm saying. He actually could have died in a freak wheeled chair accident.
We don't know.
Not wheelchair, but wheeled chair.
Wheeled. Yes, gotcha. All right. Question number 7. All IKEA stores are laid out in a similar manner to make you shop more. What is the layout designed after to make you shop more there?
They feel like a maze, so I'm going to go with that when you're in it.
You are absolutely right. They lay them out like a maze to make you wander through the store looking for the exit as long as possible.
It freaking works, because even though they put a map up that shows you, like, there's a shortcut between kitchenware and dining room stuff.
Like you can't find it?
You can't find it. It's insane.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in one, and I'm like, I got the thing. I want to leave. Let me out. Please.
I've never been in one. I have zero desire to go in one.
They're kind of neat, actually.
No, I'm not going. It's a human trap.
You can order online.
Set by the Swiss people.
They have cheap food there, though.
They don't care. So does McDonald's.
But the food's right up front, so you can just go in and leave.
You say that. That's the bait to get you in. The furniture is what gets you deeper in the maze. No way.
I've made it out alive every time.
One of these times you won't. And I'll say, I told you.
I won't hear you because I'll be dead.
I'll tell everyone else I told you. All right. Question number 8. What is so special about November 28th, 2012 in New York City?
No idea. I don't pay attention to the news on a good day.
No guess?
November 28th, 2012?
Yep.
Again, no idea.
Not a single violent crime was reported that day.
Reported.
Right.
That's reported. The key word. I guarantee you something horrible happened that day. That was not reported.
Right. But that's still pretty impressive.
That is.
For New York.
Has Chicago ever had such a day?
Doubt it.
I'm going to look it up now, but I doubt it too.
Doubt it. In 2016, kind of going along with the same theme, in Singapore, police had how many reported crime-free days?
In 2016?
In 2016.
Singapore's pretty tough on crime.
Yes, they are tough on criminals.
I don't know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'll say they had a month of crime-free days.
135 days.
Wow.
Of no, they call it no snatch theft, so people stealing purses, no break-ins, no robberies, no nothing.
I can't imagine that. Kind of sad to say, but again, they're pretty harsh in their punishment, so a lot of times maybe it's not worth it.
Right.
I don't know if it's still this way, and maybe this is wives' tale too, but there was, I think it was in the 90s I heard this, but if you had an ounce of cocaine, it was they'd kill you. It was capital punishment. They didn't mess around.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a wives' tale or not, but I know that they were really, really harsh.
Don't know. Okay, question number 10, last one. In New York City, there are around 1,000 crosswalk buttons. I've kind of figured there'd be more, but
that seems low, but okay.
Yeah, I think they mean there may be 4 at an intersection, one on each corner, but they're counting that as one controlled
intersection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. How many of them work?
Right now, this instant? That seems like a trap.
When they release these statistics.
How many of them work?
Out of 1,000.
I'm going to go none. I'm going to say they're all dummies.
100 of them, approximately.
Nice.
That's what they said. 100 of them actually worked out of the 1,000.
And I'm going to, like I said, my qualifier was this wasn't they're just broken, don't want to fix them. They're just dummy buttons that don't do anything.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I'm trying to be nice to you, New York. You're one crime-free day.
Whenever I got to cross the streets or something when I'm downtown in Indianapolis working, I hit the button and I don't hit it once, and they say wait every time you hit them. So I'm like hitting it 100 times. It's like wait.
Yeah, because they're all set up for blind people.
Yeah,
because they tell you, light, is green at this intersection, so you know which way traffic's flowing in. But yeah, every time you hit them,
it's wait, and I'm like wait.
Does that qualify as stupid stuff with Chad, or do you have something better?
I don't really have anything amazing. We'll put together a new list. There's several things that we talked about at dinner even last night that I don't know that we've ever talked about. But
we need to sort through, 29 New Year's resolution. By next show, we'll have a comprehensive list that'll last us for months.
A few minutes.
Or something. That's it then, huh?
That's it. We're to the end of the show. We've done our time.
We've killed an hour.
We're on release on good behavior?
Something like that. But honestly, I mean, we've got a list of other stuff we're going to get to in the coming episodes. We've got some special guests that are going to join us here in the studio. A lot of stuff coming up.
Next week, right? I think we have one next week.
We do have one next week.
Yeah.
Scary.
Not telling you who.
You'll have to tune in and find out for episode 68, where we all have shrooms together.
Yay!
But we really did want to just kind of paint a picture of the racing world's going to be insane in an awesome way. So
it'll be fun.
Start racing this year. Make it even better.
Yep.
That's our advice.
It'll be fun.
Go raid your pension fund. You won't need it anyways.
World's going to end before you'll need that. It's fine.
We do want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors. Of course, our title sponsor this year, CW Motorsports. Also got Spangs Fab in the mix there. And like Chad said, be on the lookout for some bright, shiny, new powder-coated Spangs Fab parts coming soon.
Bits and pieces.
Also, Watch Communications, who is still being generous enough to host the podcast and the website for us. You can find the special 1-month super hosting special extravaganza thing is still valid. Just put in the code waste of time, all lowercase and no spaces, when you check out, and that'll get you 1 month of free hosting for whatever website you want to do.
Yep.
And we also want to say a big shout out to TGM Off-Road. Thanks for standing behind us since the very inception of this whole thing. Rob, you're a gentleman and a scholar.
Sucker. Oh, wait. You don't say that out loud.
And honestly, TGM is just a great, great group of riders. I mean, everybody there supports everybody, and they do these awesome rides multiple times a year. And if you're not familiar with TGM and you're not really into the whole racing scene, but you're looking for a good community of people who are interested in UTVs and like to go riding,
that's a group to get a hold of.
Man, none better. So definitely check them out. You can find all of our sponsors' information and more about us on our webpage, eminentperformance.com. Also, we are very active on Facebook's /Eminent Racing.
Did you say Facebook's?
Facebook.
Oh, I didn't know.
I
didn't know.
Eminent Racing. No, I would have said the Facebooks.
The Facebooks.
We're also on Instagram at Eminent Racing. You can find the video version of this whole thing, whatever it is, by looking for Eminent Performance or Eminent Waste of Time. Either one will get you there. And you can find the audio version on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio.
And if you guys like what you hear on this, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and also follow us on Facebook. Hit the little bell. Let's see, the bell would be down there-ish.
Nicely done.
Thank you. For notifications when we do post things.
And you can also leaving comments on Google Play or Stitcher or iTunes, wherever, if you listen to the audio podcast, will help us out as well. So spread the word. The organic, hey, we like this and you should like this too, is better than, we can spend money advertising and stuff like that, but it so far really hasn't made much of a difference when we have. So, but the word of mouth, very, very helpful.
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out how to end the show. You didn't do anything dumb.
Oh, I've done plenty dumb.
Just not this week. You've been too sick.
I did dumb things last night. There were stupid things. There's all kinds of stupid things. I do stupid things.
And no matter whether or not you can remember how stupid you are, thanks for riding along with us.
Thanks, guys.
Tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.